Most catamarans are designed to look good at a boat show and survive a week in the charter trade. A handful are designed to cross oceans, and the difference between those two categories isn't subtle. It's the difference between a floating resort and a tool you'd trust 1,500 miles from the nearest boatyard when the weather forecast stops being accurate and you're committed. So this is a list of 10 catamarans I'd actually consider taking offshore. Not the 10 prettiest, not the 10 most popular, the 10 I'd trust with the hard parts of blue water sailing, the parts that don't show up in the sales video. Bridge deck clearance that actually works in a seaway. Structural stiffness that doesn't turn into noise and flex when it blows. Energy systems robust enough that you're not running a diesel generator at 2 in the morning just to keep the nav lights on. And short-handed capability that doesn't require 3 extra crew to reef the main. These boats aren't perfect, but they're built around decisions that make sense when you're a long way from help. Number 10. Neil 44 Trimaran. I'm starting with the Neil because it's not technically a catamaran, it's a trimaran, but it solves a lot of the same problems and does a few things better than almost any production cat out there. The Neil 44, designed by Mark Lombard, puts you back in direct contact with the water in a way most multi-hulls don't. Twin aft helms with mechanical steering. When a gust hits, you feel it through your hands. The helm loads up, the rudder bites, the boat accelerates. That feedback isn't a luxury, it's information, and offshore, information is what keeps you ahead of trouble. The hulls are infused with closed-cell foam, which makes the boat nearly unsinkable and highly resistant to water intrusion. Even if you puncture a hull on something semi-submerged, the foam prevents catastrophic flooding. That's passive safety built into the laminate. The Neil introduced what they call the Smart Room, a multi-function space in the starboard forward hull you can configure as a workshop, sail locker, or storage. On a circumnavigation, you're constantly maintaining something. Having dedicated space for that work, separate from where you're living and sleeping, isn't a gimmick. It's operational intelligence. Light displacement around 10,900 kilos. Honest construction. Not the lightest, not the fastest, but a solid tool for someone who wants to sail, not just occupy space on the water. Number 9. Seawind 1370. The Seawind 1370 is 45 feet of Australian practicality, and its most important design decision is also its most controversial. No daggerboards. Instead, it uses high-aspect fixed mini-keels. That gives you decent windward performance without the complexity, maintenance, and potential failure points of retractable boards. For a cruising couple crossing the Atlantic or Pacific, that simplicity has real value. One less system to break. One less thing to troubleshoot at 3 in the morning when the wind builds. Construction is vinyl ester infusion over PVC foam core, reinforced with carbon and Kevlar. The Kevlar layer isn't marketing. It's there for impact resistance when you hit something semi-submerged at 8 knots in the dark. Bridge deck clearance is around 838 millimeters. Excellent for a 45-footer. Less slamming, less noise, less stress on the structure, and a drier, quieter ride when the seas get confused. The galley-up configuration puts the cook on the same level as the social areas and cockpit. That matters more than people realize. On a long passage, the cook is part of the watch rotation. If they're stuck below in a separate galley, isolated from the horizon and conversation, it creates problems. Galley up solves that. Solar approaches 2,000 watts. Standard power is twin 40-horsepower Yanmars. And here's the detail owners mention most. The Seawind 1370 heaves to beautifully. In heavy weather, when you need to stop fighting and just park the boat at a safe angle to the wind and seas, this boat does it without drama. That's a survival feature no brochure will quantify. Number 8. Outremer 45. The Outremer 45 is the entry point into a philosophy that's defined French performance cruising for decades. Speed is safety. If you can sail faster, you can outrun developing weather systems. You can reach shelter before the storm closes the window. You can shorten passages from weeks to days, which reduces crew fatigue, reduces wear on gear, and shrinks your exposure to the unpredictable. The boat is engineered for short-handed sailing. Every line, every control, every sail handling function is centralized at the helm. A couple can manage the boat without leaving the cockpit. That's not convenience, it's a safety architecture. The sail plan includes a square-top main and a self-tacking solent. That self-tacker simplifies upwind sailing enormously. Instead of grinding a jib sheet on every tack, the sail moves itself. For a tired crew at the end of a night watch, that's the difference between a smooth maneuver and a mess. Dagger boards are non-negotiable on an Outremer. They give you superior pointing ability upwind, and in heavy downwind conditions you raise them to reduce drag and eliminate the risk of tripping a hull during a broach. That dual functionality is both performance and safety. Light displacement around 8,200 kilos. Displacement to length ratio of 73.5. This is a light, fast, purposeful boat that doesn't pretend to be a floating hotel. It just crosses oceans. Number 7. Balance 442. The Balance 442 is where South African multi-hull design meets offshore reality. Founded by Philip Berman, designed by Anton Dutoy, the balance philosophy is right there in the name. Equilibrium between performance and comfort. Start with the number that matters most, bridge deck clearance, 818 millimeters, among the highest in its class. When waves hump up between the hulls, they pass underneath instead of slamming into the platform. Less slamming means less noise, less fatigue, and a crew that can actually sleep. The Versahelm is the innovation that defines the balance experience. It lets you steer from an elevated position with full visibility during maneuvers, then pivot the entire helm into the cockpit to be sheltered from wind, rain, and spray during long night watches. Owners cite this as the single biggest factor in reducing fatigue on transoceanic passages. Construction is vacuum-infused e-glass with carbon reinforcements over Corecell or PVC foam core. The XP version goes full carbon, which reduces weight and increases stiffness. That rigidity matters. It keeps the rig in tune and prevents the flexing and creaking you hear in softer production cats when the sea state builds. A stiff boat is a quiet boat. A quiet boat is a fast boat. Light displacement around 10,750 kilos. Sail area to displacement ratio of 23.8. The port-aft cabin can be converted into a dedicated office with a pull-out bed. That reflects the modern reality. People aren't just cruising anymore. They're living and working from these boats. The Balance 442 accommodates that without compromise. Number 6. Katana 53. The Katana 53 is the evolution of a brand that's been building performance multi-hulls for over 30 years. Its defining technology is carbon infusion combined with Twaron impact reinforcement. Twaron is an aramid fiber, a cousin of Kevlar, layered into the hull laminate to create a structure that's both light and exceptionally impact resistant. The use of carbon around the chain plates, mast base and coach roof let Katana remove nearly a full ton of weight from the 53 compared to earlier models. 1 ton. Gone, without sacrificing strength. Owners describe the boat as moving like a train, stiff, steady, even in heavy squalls. It doesn't twist, doesn't flex, doesn't complain. That's carbon doing its job, converting gust energy into forward motion instead of structural noise. The 53 addresses earlier criticisms of limited interior volume with what they call maxi hulls and a flush interior that places saloon, galley and cockpit on the same level. The result is an open, great room feel that's significantly larger than the length suggests. The 53 still uses twin outboard helms. You get a clear view of the rig and sails, better helm feel, but you're more exposed to the elements than you would be with a bridge deck helm. That's the trade-off, awareness versus shelter. Length overall just over 16 meters, beam 8.65 meters, widest boat on this list, light displacement 14,000 kilos. For the sailor who wants a thoroughbred that's still comfortable for long-term living, the Katana 53 is a proven answer. Number 5. Balance 482. If the 442 is the entry point, the 482 is the sweet spot. This is the boat owners who've actually completed transoceanic passages keep coming back to as the most livable performance catamaran on the water. It carries the same Versa helm, the same construction philosophy, the same obsession with structural stiffness. But the 482 scales everything up just enough. Light displacement 11,315 kilos, maximum displacement 15,000. That delta, 3,685 kilos of payload capacity, is where real ocean crossing lives. Because you're not crossing at light displacement. You're loaded with fuel, water, provisions, spare parts, tools, and all the accumulated gear of life afloat. The 482 carries that weight without losing its character. Fuel capacity 800 litres, water 780. Those tank sizes matter. 800 litres of fuel with upgraded 57 horsepower Yanmars means you can cruise at 7 to 8 knots on a single engine, extending your motoring range dramatically. Critical in the doldrums, where you can sit in windless, sweltering heat for days. Solar capacity exceeds 1,000 watts. Battery bank 800 amp hours at 24 volts. With lithium batteries and proper charging architecture, you can run a water maker, refrigeration, instruments, and navigation electronics without starting a generator. The 482 is widely considered one of the most couple-friendly boats that still offers genuine high performance. It doesn't ask you to choose, it delivers both. Number 4. Outremer 52. The Outremer 52 is the new benchmark. Designed by VPLP, styled by Patrick Lemarié, the 52 synthesizes every lesson learned from the iconic 51 and the larger 55 into a single optimized platform. A key innovation is structural weight-saving technology originally developed by Gunboat. This allows for larger glass surfaces and better visibility without compromising rigidity. More glass usually means more flex, not here. The engineering ensures structural loads bypass the glazing and flow through the composite framework. The 52 offers a modular interior concept called My Free Space, located in the port forward cabin. This can be configured as a workshop, an office with bunks, a dressing room, or a kids' cabin. That reflects operational reality. Long-distance cruisers have radically different needs at different stages of a voyage. The 3-position wheel swings from an upper helm for maneuvering to a lower protected cockpit position for long watches. That adaptability is becoming standard in high-end multi-hulls, but Outremer does it with mechanical elegance others struggle to match. Light displacement 12,500 kilos. Displacement to length ratio 89.5. Construction GRP with carbon reinforcements. The Outremer 52 is the boat for the sailor who believes the fastest passage is the safest passage. Number 3. HH-44. The HH-44 isn't just a catamaran, it's a rethink. Designed by Tanton Design, built entirely from pre-preg carbon fibre, the HH-44 treats the ocean the way you'd approach engineering a spacecraft. Full carbon fibre pre-preg construction means carbon sheets pre-impregnated with resin in a factory-controlled environment, then cured under heat and pressure in an autoclave. The result is a fibre-to-resin ratio that hand layup and even infusion can't match. Maximum strength, minimum weight, maximum stiffness. Light displacement 9,500 kilos for a 44-footer with the usable space of a 48. Bridge deck clearance exceeds 800 millimeters. Now the game changer, the EcoDrive hybrid propulsion system. Twin 10-kilowatt electric motors that piggyback on diesel engines. This allows silent, fume-free motoring at speeds up to 7 knots. But the real innovation is hydro-regeneration. While sailing at speed, the free-spinning props act as generators, feeding energy back into a massive 43 kilowatt-hour lithium battery bank. Combine that with a solar array of over 4,000 watts integrated into the coach roof, and you have a boat that can run air conditioning, water makers, induction stoves, and nav electronics without ever starting a diesel generator. The genset is one of the most common failure points on offshore boats. The HH-44 eliminates it entirely. That's not ecological virtue, that's operational resilience. C-shaped daggerboards provide vertical lift at speed, reducing displacement and improving velocity made good. The folding transoms create a secure enclosed cockpit at sea. At anchor, they open into swim platforms. Dual functionality, nothing decorative. Number 2. Balance 526. The 526 is what happens when you take the balance philosophy and push it to its logical extreme. This is the flagship, Anton de Toit's masterpiece. Light displacement 12,200 kilos for a 52-foot catamaran. Extraordinarily light. And that translates directly into performance. The 526 has been described as capable of achieving boat speeds in excess of true wind speed in light air. Upwind sail area 157 square meters. Sail area to displacement ratio 36, highest on this list. It means this boat doesn't need an engine in anything above 8 knots of wind. Shorter passages, less fuel burned. Arriving ahead of the weather instead of behind it. Bridge deck clearance 860 millimeters, highest on this list. In heavy offshore conditions, that clearance is the difference between a rough, slamming, sleep-depriving night and a smooth passage where the waves pass underneath. The XB version uses all-carbon construction, pushing stiffness to weight into territory that was reserved for racing boats a decade ago. Carbon means when a gust hits, the energy goes into the sails and foils, not into twisting the platform. This boat is the answer for the sailor who wants everything: speed, comfort, stiffness, autonomy, and the ability to cross any ocean with 2 people and a plan. Number 1. Garcia Explocat 52. The Garcia Explocat 52 is a different animal entirely. Every other boat on this list is built from composites. The Explocat is built from marine-grade aluminium, and that single material choice changes everything about its relationship with the ocean. When you're crossing an ocean, the risk of collision with semi-submerged objects isn't theoretical, it's statistical. Containers fall off ships, logs drift for thousands of miles, whales surface where you don't expect them. In a composite hull, a collision at speed can mean catastrophic puncture. In the Explocat's aluminium hull, with plate thicknesses ranging from 5 to 14 millimeters at the bottom, the metal deforms. It dents. It does not shatter. It does not crack. It does not let the ocean in. The Explocate features watertight aluminium bulkheads at the bow and stern. If you breach a hull, you isolate the damaged compartment and maintain buoyancy. That's naval architecture borrowed from commercial ships, not yachts. Protected propellers are housed behind aluminum fins. Losing a prop to a fishing net or a line in the middle of the Indian Ocean isn't an inconvenience, it's a crisis. This prevents it. Bridge deck clearance 850 millimeters. Displacement 18,900 kilos at medium load. Yes, it's heavier than the carbon boats, significantly heavier, but that weight is armor. And for the sailor heading to high latitudes, Patagonia, Greenland, the Kerguelen Islands, armor is what you want. The Explicat is heavily insulated with foam panels above the waterline and an insulated floor. In the Southern Ocean, where the water is 2 degrees and the air isn't much warmer, thermal management isn't comfort, it's survival. And here's the detail that puts the Explicat at number 1. It can be beached on its keels. You can dry out. You can inspect the bottom. You can make repairs in places where the nearest boatyard is 1,000 miles away. Toughness means serviceability when infrastructure doesn't exist. The Garcia Explocat 52 is not the fastest boat on this list. It's not the lightest. It's not the most technologically advanced, but it's the boat I'd trust with my life in the places where the ocean doesn't care about your brochure, your solar panels, or your carbon fiber. It's built to go anywhere and come back. Now, before the comment section fills up with arguments, here's why these 10 made the list. First, speed is safety. Shorter passages mean less exposure to developing weather, less fatigue, less wear. These boats cover ground. Second, bridge deck clearance. Around 760 millimeters for a 45-footer, increasing with beam. Every boat here meets or exceeds that. Wave slamming subjects the structure to violent accelerations that fatigue composites, loosen hardware, and destroy the crew's ability to rest. Third, structural stiffness. When a gust hits, energy either goes into forward motion or into twisting the platform. The stiff boats here are described by owners as silent in a seaway. No creaking, no groaning, just motion. Fourth, energy autonomy. These boats can run water makers, refrigeration, navigation, even air conditioning without starting a diesel genset. Eliminating the genset eliminates one of the most common failure points offshore. Fifth, short-handed capability. Every boat here can be sailed by 2 people. All lines lead to the helm. Electric winches handle heavy loads. Most carry dual autopilot systems. So here's how to choose based on your actual mission. Maximum speed and velocity made good to weather. Outremer 52 or HH44. Expedition capability, high latitudes, ice, Garcia Explocat 52. No contest. Most couple-friendly, livable performance catamaran. Balance 482 or Seawind 1370. Pure sailing sensation, helm feel, connection to the water. Neil 44 or Katana 53. Fastest boat a couple can still manage. Balance 526. Technological showcase with hybrid propulsion and total energy autonomy. HH44. Crossing an ocean in a catamaran isn't about choosing the biggest boat or the most expensive boat. It's about choosing the boat whose chain of design decisions all assume the same thing. Sooner or later, you will be in conditions you didn't plan for. These 10 are built to get you through them and bring you home. If you've sailed any of these boats offshore, or if you've crossed in something else and think I'm wrong, Say so in the comments. That's where these conversations get useful. And if you want more of this, straight breakdowns of what actually works when it matters, subscribe. No hype. Just what holds up when the conditions stop being perfect.